Good evening, Mayor. How are you?
I am doing good, Rachel. I hope you're doing well too.
I am doing well. I am excited for our guests tonight. We have two of Roseville's veterans, and for those that are active in the community, you know both of them, I must say. Of course, one of them is our commissioner, Dan Austin, and then the other is Eugene. For those that are active in DAV, he is one of the people that you will always see. So I know that they have some great information to share this evening, some information to tell you about Roseville, what's going on, how to help them, and all that other wonderful stuff.
You're exactly right. And the countdown, that was really great. Thank you for doing that. It's something about veterans that just makes you feel good when you're talking about them, when you honor them, when you're trying to bring them out in the front. It's just a good feel thing to do, And this is very enjoyable. I've been looking forward to this show for a while, for the veteran show.
You have, and it's one thing we talked about. Was it last year, Mayor?
It
It
was.
truly it was last year, and
Mhm.
we talked about this time of year, and we said we need to make sure that when we hit November, we have this one specifically dedicated to our veterans. So we're definitely happy to have people who are close by that are able to participate. But I do want to share for those that are watching or may come back and watch this later, there are quite a few events that happen throughout the year for our veterans, and we don't just celebrate them on the day of Veterans Day. So there are quite a few things that are happening. There are people that are set up as liaisons in the town of
Mhm.
Roseville to work with our veterans. And then also there's so many activities that we have that support not only the veterans but also their families. So I want to make sure that I talk about that a little tonight. And then as we get to the end of the show, I'll make sure that I share a couple of names for you so you know who to contact and who to reach out to and things like that.
Yeah, exactly. It's just so much going on, and it's really good to have things going on with the veterans. And as you see tonight, the two guests that we have tonight, they are veterans themselves, and quite often you see veterans helping veterans. The veterans are taking the lead in sort of leadership in a lot of the
Mhm.
veterans organization. But it shouldn't be just the veterans. It should be all of us, all Americans, all roles of citizens. Everybody should be supporting the veterans. It doesn't just need to be one group. It needs to be all groups. And that's some of the things I've kind of worked on in the last 12 months, and hopefully going forward we'll do more of that, and we can hear some ideas maybe from Gene and Dan on
Mhm.
how to do that, how the community can get more involved with the veterans. That's one of the things I was hoping to bring out tonight.
Absolutely. And I know those two will have definitely some resources for us and some ideas for us. So, Mayor, if you're ready, I'll go ahead and bring Eugene on.
I am ready. I'm excited to have Eugene on. Hey, Eugene.
Good evening, my mayor. How are you?
I am doing good. I hope you're doing well. This is probably an exciting time of the year for you. All your work you do for the veterans and DAV and those type things, and then when you have a day dedicated to that, it has to be special meaning for you.
Yes, it is. But every day is a day, a special meaning for me for the veterans.
I understand. Before we get started talking to veterans, I always like to talk about the person Eugene. I know you've been in the community about 16 years. A big part of Rolesville. You do a lot of things around Rolesville. Just what brought you to Rolesville 16? How did you end up in the little small town of Rolesville?
Well, I came down 16 years ago, trying to find a good hospital for my wife who came down with breast cancer, and I was needed down to Durham and Raleigh. So I met this lady who's a realtor, and we were trying to find houses in Raleigh, and she took me to Roseville. She said, well, "It's a little small little town. I don't know where you like it coming from Philadelphia." And I guess the Lord led me here because as soon as I found Hampton Point, I knew this is where I wanted to stay. Small town, quiet. It's different from Philadelphia, and that's my story.
Well, that's a good story, Eugene. 16 years ago, we used to say that Roseville was a hidden jewel. It was hidden. People didn't know about it. But that's not the day today. Everybody's getting to know where Roseville is. Is you kind of
Good.
seeing the same thing?
Yes, I do. I mean, it's growing, and like leaps and bounds, and the changes I saw in the last 16 years is like unbelievable.
I know it ain't no ways like it was when you moved here 16 years ago. Um, One thing, we start talking about veterans, Eugene. You got a lot of passion. You just said earlier. Every day is exciting day. When working with veterans, where did that passion come from? How did you get that passion to work with veterans as close as you do?
I don't really can tell you how, but I can tell you that I was introduced to the DAV when I first came down here. And when I was in Philadelphia, I was a mentor for the elementary school building. I just have a passion for people who are in need and people who need assistance and help. So when I got involved in the DAV, I saw how many veterans that would look over. I saw how many veterans that needed help, homeless, didn't know how to get their benefits. So I just dove right in.
Yeah, and I guess as you get into it, how long you been working this closely with veterans? The whole 16 years you've been here,
No, 15,
or you kind of got into it?
15 years.
15 years.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So I guess it's like a lot of things. You start off, and then as you get more and more involved, you get more and more involved in it. More and more things going on. Does it kind of grow? Is
Oh,
that
yes.
is that how
It's like,
you would describe it?
it's like a disease, Once you get involved with it and you get involved with the family members and the need, you can't say no.
That's right. And you talk about the needs. There is a lot of needs for veterans. I think they come back and a lot of times they bring things back with them. If I'm correct with that, Eugene. And it's a lot of needs, and it takes people like you to help them kind of find out where to find those needs, because they're not easy to find sometimes, are they?
Well, veterans have a thing. They don't like to talk about the past, especially when you come from a war. They like to keep it inside. And their families suffer from this because it's called PTSD. So when they get around other veterans, they just talk more because they feel like they around people that can understand them more.
Yeah, and I guess you get to meet a lot of different veterans all the time, um, and I guess in some ways it's sort of like a network, or sort of rewarding. Like you said, talking to each other.
Yes, it's a brotherhood and a sisterhood.
Hmm.
You know that relationship. Sometimes veterans are more closer to other veterans than they are to the family members.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, and it's interesting you said sisterhood there, because a lot of times people think of veterans as men and stuff, and that's not the case. I mean, I think there's I forgot the number she said when I went to the parade Friday, but there's like 60 or 80,000 women veterans in the county or something like that. It's a lot, ain't it?
Yes, it is very lot, and they didn't get the service that the men was getting because right now they're passing new laws for the female veterans that was in the service.
Yeah. Um, so in your work with veterans, what do you see the a need that we're working on, but we ain't quite got there? What is something you see that is really needed in helping them?
Mentally, the homeless veterans, PTSD veterans, veterans that is just out there and no one really care. You got veterans on the corner. You got veterans on the corner that's begging for money. Housing is a major thing for the veterans today.
Yeah, I think that's right, and we'll talk about some veterans organizations in a few minutes. But housing prices is crazy right now. Um, but there is ways that you can get. I think you can still get pretty good loans for veterans if you do find a house that that you want. All those programs are still there. Is that right, Eugene?
Well, when you say get loans, no, it's not that easy to get loans. You have to have employment. You have to have some money yourself. The organizations now is coming out who's building homes for the veterans. That is outstanding.
Right. Yeah, and Dan, I may talk about that a little bit, later. Dan Austin is coming on the second segment, Eugene, and that's something we haven't been able to do yet. But we do attracting some developers that work with veteran organizations that do provide. Actually, they provide that organization a house, and then they find the biggest need in the community to give them. So hopefully Rolesville will be starting to do that soon.
Hope so.
When you think of veterans, how can the community help? What is something that I know you work very hard, Eugene, but what is something the community can do to help?
If employers can give the veterans jobs, they can help in that way. Reaching out to family members to get involved. Community can give certain discounts to veterans, like the big stores give 10% to help the veterans. And the thing about that, the veteran will go to a store that will give them a discount because they feel as though they feel a little special. And the money is still coming back into the community anyway.
Right. Yeah, it is. It stays where you spend it, right? So
Yes.
So yeah, that's exactly right. I think when we was talking, you mentioned about maybe hospice and some of the things going on there. I know I know it's just so much that you have to think about when you think about the whole big picture, right? It's not just one thing. It's hundreds of things.
Yes. Transportation to the hospitals is a major thing now because since COVID, our drivers from the DAV is not able to take the veterans to the hospital now because of COVID. So now the veterans that was going with the drivers from the DAV are having problems getting to DAV. I mean, having problems getting to Durham because of public transportation. Public transportation in Raleigh need to be really increased because a lot of veterans don't have cars. A lot of veterans are missing limbs. It's just, and they have no way to get to the doctor's appointments because it usually take about 3 or 4 months before you can get an appointment.
Yeah, 3 or 4 months. That's a long time, Eugene. Has there been any improvements on that? Is our government working on trying to bring that time down so you don't have to wait so long?
You know how government is. They move slow.
Right.
And right now there's no improvement. There's no talk about it. Basically, it's saying get there the best way you can.
Right. Let me ask you this. You said the drivers. Can people volunteer to do that? Is there a mechanism we can put in place to try to identify people that want to volunteer to take veterans over to Durham? Can anybody do that, or you have to be a special licensed person?
Anybody can do it, but the way we have it set up in the DAV is that the VA hospital give us cars to take veterans and pick them up and bring them back home. Now, if a private citizen do it, then they have to worry about the risk factor of insurance and any accidents that happen. And then think about also that when you go to the VA, you may be there 5 or 6 hours. So I don't think that too many people are going to sit around wait at the VA hospital for a veteran to take them to the service.
That's a good point. It's a lot of little ins and outs about that thing, ain't it?
Yes.
But at your organization, so with your cars, do people volunteer to come down to your organization to be drivers?
No, the drivers have to be selected by the VA hospital. You have to take a test. You have to have a physical, and then if they pass the test and the physical, then they'll be selected to be a driver.
It's almost like you have to be certified or something. Is that
That's correct.
kind of what you're saying there?
Yes.
We mentioned the community thing a little bit, Eugene, and some of the stores, can help, and that's one of the commitments I got is to talk to some of the store owners and think about veterans and stuff like that. What other ways, I know the town has some programs that we do for veterans, but what are some other ideas or things that the community or the town, even the chamber, the chamber itself, Rachel's group, as a community, what can we do to, I guess, if nothing else, improve the life of veterans,
Well, one of the things I was thinking about when you asked me that question some time ago was that a place where the veterans can get together, maybe one day a week, and just like talk, play cards, play games, and just be able to get together and do what veterans do. Tell big stories, war stories, laugh.
Right. So it's no present day. It's really nowhere in town for them to do that in Rolesville.
No, sir.
Okay, that's something. That's something that Dan and I will kind of work on. I don't know why we couldn't do that. There is some. I do know I'm working with an organization that is trying to look for putting somewhere that every day there would be like a senior citizens can go. That's similar, but it's a little bit different for the veterans. I don't know if we could have one day at that senior place the veterans, could meet a week or something like that. But yeah, there's got to be a solution to this problem. I would think, Eugene. So that's a good thing. I appreciate you bringing that forward to us. Is there other thoughts or other things? I know some of the things that Dan is working on. Dan, I chose Dan to be the liaison, which liaison means he sort of speaks for my behalf, for veterans. I give him authority to do that. And I know there's a lot of things he's working on, including, getting some type of veterans medical places here, like kind of outpatient or sort of like urgent care, veterans urgent care places or something like that. Any other thoughts on things that we can recruit here from a standpoint of having things come here that would be good for vet? I think we got a pretty large veteran community here. How large is how many veterans you think is our community? Is it pretty large, Eugene?
So the last count that we did here was 2 years ago, I believe. There was something like 800 plus veterans in Rolesville.
Right. So we got some that can support something like that. So I know some of the towns may have some of those things, and it's something that we need to start working on. But is there an opportunity to have something like urgent care centers for veterans and stuff like that?
And that's a question I cannot answer. I could go through the VA. The VA control all the care for the veterans. We have 3 in Raleigh. Yeah, 3. We call them C-Box. Yeah, and that's an outreach program that the VA set up for the veterans who can't travel too far, or take some of the patients' care off of them.
Yeah. One of the things I was going to ask you, Eugene, is there things in the future that would be good for the town or us to provide for veterans, like a veteran? You said the center to go, that would be like the inside place, but outside facilities or parks or something like that. I know you guys you could use the greenway systems and stuff. But is there anything special need, for veterans that we can do? Maybe that's for outside activities or something in our future planning for parks and those type things.
Well, you can have the park where the veterans can go and play, well, baseball, walk around, track, get exercise. That's a lot of things. That's one thing the veterans need, to get out and get exercise. I
Right.
think COVID, the last couple of years of COVID, did more harm to the veterans than any other group of people, because now they're stuck in the house, and the only thing they can do is think about the past. The friends they had, they disappear. And death really affect veterans. People don't know that, because especially a war veteran.
Right. Somebody seen combat
Yes.
is completely different, ain't it?
Yes.
Eugene?
Yes, it is.
In talking about that a little bit, how well does the churches and the faith-based organizations, do they do stuff for veterans too, or?
Well, that's a broad question, so I can't speak on all faith-based organizations, but I travel around to some churches and get involved with the churches about giving food out for the veterans and of that nature. And some do and some don't.
Understand. Yeah, the community can always use more people like you, Eugene. I mean, you have a lot of passion for veterans, and you do a lot of work and things like that. What would you say to encourage others to kind of pick up the ball also, and how would they be rewarded by doing that? How would they what would be the results if they kind of do some of the things that you do?
Well, I don't know about rewards. It's just my passion. I'm not trying to get rewarded. I'm not trying to get any recognition. If it wasn't even a veteran, if somebody needed help, I want to be there if I can help them. But everybody had their own thing. People say they're busy. People say, well, you're getting paid by the government. You're getting a little check there, and there's a lot of envy between service people and people who are not been in service. A lot of service people in the service, feel as though like, if I say I'm a veteran, I'm a veteran from a certain war, people look at me different, So sometimes
Right.
they don't even want to be recognized.
Right. Yeah, you was talking about envy and stuff like that. But I know a couple. I've worked with veterans. Hand in hand. A lot of, like you said, a lot of veterans get jobs when they come back. They're very employable and stuff like that. And I've worked my whole career, and actually some have retired. I had lunch with one that retired about 8-9 months ago. That was a veteran, and but a lot of times the veterans, and I don't know what the percentage, but it's probably pretty low. The veterans that actually takes advantage of the opportunities they have, and I guess if you're working and you got the benefits, at your job, and big companies and stuff, you probably don't need a lot of the veteran benefits. But I would say it's a lot of veterans that don't even take advantage of what's being offered. Is it?
There's a lot of veterans who don't even know about the advantages that's out there for them. That's the sad part about it. It's like no one's giving them nothing. They earn this.
Uh-huh.
And it's not only help them, but help their families, help relationships in their families. I work as a service officer for the DAV, and I do claims. Claims is when a veteran come in and they need help with their medical or their housing or many things. But they are not aware of the steps they have to go through to get this from the government. It's not an easy process. And when you put the paperwork in, you get denied more than you do get the okay. But you have to keep on putting the paperwork in to get you wherever you're asking for. Medical, housing, education, training. Your children get benefits. Your spouses get benefits. You know, but a lot of veterans are leaving this on the table because they're ignorant to the fact. So my job is to educate the veterans and let them know, look, there's programs out here that you need to follow up on, especially if you're 100% veteran and your child go to school in the state they live in. You don't have to pay for higher education. That's not only college, but trade schools and many other things. You know, they got a bill in the House right now. We're trying to get passed. 100% disabled veteran won't have to pay real estate taxes.
Mm-hmm.
But some people think that that's a get over with the veterans, but the same money that they don't have to pay taxes, they put that back in the community.
Yeah, that's you're talking about benefits, and a lot of people. I agree. I mean, I know people myself that that don't take advantage of all the things that's got offering. But also, like you said, it's a lot of things offering for the kids. Scholarships and grants and things for the kids to get. I think I was talking to maybe Austin or somebody, even high school kids. If you got your veteran got kids in high school, there's things that can help there, and a lot of people don't. I don't even think our high schools are involved in kind of educating the veteran kids. What they got to offer. I don't think.
Well, it's getting better. I mean, years ago, some veterans, like I say, some veterans didn't want to let anybody know they're a veteran. But now I think people are seeing a different look after the last conflict we was in. It's not the veterans that want the war. We are here for the country. The United States of America sent us there to do what we swear we would do. We don't go to war. We don't want to lose a limb or our lives, but we are here to protect the United States.
Right.
But when we come back home to the United States, protect us.
Right. And I think you're right. I think I'm seeing more and more veterans. They wear their veteran caps proudly. With their service on there. And that, to me, that gives me an opportunity to reach out to them. I recall going to Grandfather's Mountains or some other places, and you standing around, you see a veteran with cap on. Sometimes it's from the battleships or something, or something. Maybe what they served in. It's just really. I think I'm happy to see that a lot of veterans now are proud to be veterans, because I don't know why they would not.
Yes.
And
I'm glad to see it too.
And also, it gives us and everybody else a chance to mention it to them. Appreciate for their service and all, and the things they do. And I see Rachel's coming back, Eugene, and that's one of the things I want to make sure before Dan comes on and you leave, Eugene, is to say thank you for your service. I mean, your long service with the as in the military and the veterans, but also your service after and your service present, and the things you're doing today that is a big service for the community, for our country. I mean, in some ways, you're serving our country still, and you still doing things to serve our country and to make us a good country. And I really appreciate that, and I appreciate what you're doing, Eugene.
And may I thank you for this opportunity. And I just want to let veterans out there who may be listening, if you haven't got your benefits or you have any questions about your benefits, contact me, and I'll be more than glad to help you out.
I know you will. I know you will. You're always active, involved in a lot of things, especially when it comes to veterans, but not only veterans, but other things in the community. And I appreciate that, Eugene. So it was great having Eugene on, Rachel. Is it anything
It
you want to
was.
say? Or
It was. No, I know Eugene. I've known him for a couple of years, and he's always been great for us, here in Roseville. And I always, whenever I talk to veterans, and, I've had the opportunity, I've actually had the pleasure of meeting so many of them, but actually getting to know kind of their stories and their histories and kind of what their time was like. And I'm so glad, Eugene, that you talked about the fact of people who served in different wars or who went to, those who are combat versus non-combat. And, for us, especially for me, I always tell people there's one thing that when you look at a veteran and someone who's currently serving, I mean, there's a sacrifice there. And so when you look at that sacrifice, that's a sacrifice. I tell people freedom isn't free. And so for those that look at us here in this country and like, oh, you have all these freedoms and you can do that. I'm like, there's a price that's paid for that. And so for so many of us, we have family members who are serving or who have served or those who have lost family members. And so I always like to remind people about that is that freedom is not free. And there's a huge sacrifice that none of us could ever repay you for what you did. And so I do want to say thank you, as the mayor said, for your service and for your sacrifice. And so I know you're there this evening with Dan, our commissioner, Dan. And so I don't know where Dan went, Eugene, but you can, he's probably over in the corner, as we like to say, but he's popping back in. And so we're definitely glad that you're able to get on. And I love the fact, and I'll tell anyone who's watching, whenever we do things, we have our community. So if you have to come to someone's house or come to the chamber, I almost went where the mayor was and almost sat in a room with him. But that's one thing about us here in Roseville is we talk about how genuine we are, and we truly are. So Eugene, I told you earlier, you could have came and hung out with me too. So it didn't matter where you went, you would have been with one of us.
Thank you
Take
very
care,
much.
Eugene.
yeah, thank you for coming on, Eugene.
Thank you.
And you stick around if you can, because we kind of wrap up at the end.
Okay.
Mayor, I'm gonna give them a chance to get settled over there.
Yeah, that'd be great.
As Dan is over there getting things in order and in place. He's had a wonderful day today in what he was working on and what he was doing. So, and I'm appreciative for him for allowing Eugene to come over this evening to make sure that he's able to get on. And we'll give Commissioner Dan T, for those that know him, a minute to get it together. And so I'm pretty sure he gave me the thumbs up to let me know he is ready. And for those that don't know, our Commissioner Dan T, who's also an Army veteran. I don't know if we try to make sure we let people know what branch that someone served in, because I'm not a veteran or in the military, but apparently it's very important depending on what branch you are in. So that could spark a whole debate in a room, by the way, for those who don't know. But, I do want to make sure I say he is an Army veteran. So.
Yeah, I think Dan, I believe I got this right. You're an Army veteran, but you're a veteran of the what is the Air Force ROTC or something, or is it Navy ROTC?
Yes, sir. I did 17 years in the United States Army as a 131 Alpha Field Artillery targeting technician, warrant officer. I enjoyed my time, but yes, sir. I joined the Army in 1996, shortly right after my birthday. But I was in the Air Force ROTC as the Corps commander, but they knew that I was going to join the Army. So they set me up for success.
So you can say you was in both branches in a way then. But good to have you on the show, Dan. I think you're we've been doing this show for over a year now. I think you're the first commissioner that I've had on here. And I'm going to start getting, more of them on, but kind of want to introduce you. Dan, you work with me as the veterans liaison, and I kind of tell people, the people I point to being a liaison or something, you pretty much speak for the mayor, in those affairs pretty much. And you've done a great job with that. And we'll get into that a little bit tonight, Dan.
Yes, sir.
But before we do, I kind of want to get you to introduce yourself. you've been in Rolesville for a while now, and you know been active, and kind of introduce yourself, your family, and how did you come about making Rolesville your home?
All right, sir. February, actually, the 18th, we're marked 9 years that we've been in Roseville. I'm married. I have 3 children. Next year, we'll also hit 15 years that my wife and I, Veronica, has been married. Like I said, I have 3 children. Daniel, he is currently serving in the United States Navy, but I still tell him, go Army, beat Navy. As well as my middle child, Olivia. That's my heart. If anybody knows Olivia, she gives you a hug. It pretty
It
much
does.
makes you feel so special. And then our 5-year-old Lauren. Lauren thinks she is the general of this house, but she has no idea.
Yep. And Veronica is a veteran too, right?
Yes, sir. And my beautiful wife, Veronica, she served 22 years as a PA, a physician assistant.
That's great. So how did you end up? How did you and Veronica and the family end up in Rolesville, of all places?
Well, sir, shortly after retiring out of Fort Bragg in 2013, my wife and I was looking at maybe we could leave Sanford area and go somewhere different, go somewhere more closer to my hometown. And I actually grew up in Enfield. A lot of people don't know where that is, but it's off Interstate 95 in the country. I grew up farming. But my wife was like, we need to go somewhere different. And that way we get a chance to digress from the military lifestyle a little bit and get back into the civilian world. So my sister lives not too far from us. She actually lives in Franklin County. And we would go and see her. But we also ran across Roseville and ran across Rogers Road. And we turned down and we saw the Heritage neighborhood and how things was going. And we didn't know if that was Roseville or Wake Forest. But we loved the area and loved the small town feel.
I believe that you do love it. What do you like about Rolesville the best? I mean, what sets it apart? What's the difference between Rolesville and other places in Wake County?
Oh, wow. Let's see. Now you got me being biased, which is great. Because Roseville, right now, anybody that sees us, they like, okay, where is Roseville? That was the first thing. Then now they look at us as, wow, you guys are in the top 5 of the best place to come and live in the United States because we're growing. And that's one thing. Yes, we were 5,700 back in 9 years ago. Now we're at what, 10,600 and projected to even double that within the next 5 to 7 years. Mm-hmm. So we are on the rise, and I get an opportunity as your eyes and ears and your voice as a veteran liaison to be able to partner with Eugene, the DAV, the VFW, the secretary with the Military and Veteran Affairs, to be able to be a voice as a commissioner.
Exactly right. Also, you get to interact with more elected officials and Congress people and stuff. Because I think you've taken it and really run with it from a standpoint of trying to shake every bush you could shake to try to get some improvements and better things in Rolesville.
Yes, sir.
And describe. I know when you came into a commissioner, you've been commissioner about a year, Dan, and you came in. You told me you wanted to do something. You didn't want to just be on the board. You wanted to do something. And after a few months, I kind of saw your passion for veterans and kind of asked you to serve as liaison for veterans. Has it been everything you imagined, or even more?
Even actually, sir, it's been more, because that's actually my passion for helping veterans. Was when I got out, I actually had to learn how everything works in the VA system. So that's where I met Eugene at, was at Woodrow Wilson #1 DAV office. And he sat me down. He was the commander And I told him that I've been doing things behind the scenes and helping veterans as an advisor, but not actually certified. So that's when he assisted me with that process, and I served as VSO up until 2019.
That's great. Just change discussion a little bit, Dan. As commissioner, mayor, and as commissioners and stuff at town, even staff people, we work on things behind the scenes all the time. I mean,
Yes,
we're
sir.
meeting with people. It's hard to imagine. I know the regular citizen doesn't imagine what all we work on from day to day. And as veterans liaisons, you're working on a lot of things behind the scenes. Some of them may work out. Some, and no guarantee any of them work out. Maybe just describe some of the things you've been working on the last few months.
Yes, sir. One of the things is bringing a health facility to Rolesville, not just to service the veterans, but to service the community. There is a need for that. And also, as our citizens get older, I don't want everybody having to drive so far out for healthcare. So that's why I had different meetings with Wake Med, and to hopefully be able to partner with them one day to bringing something here. I know this year it was different things with Garner that's going on with their mental health place. So I'm still have not given up on bringing that here. So that's another project for me to work on again for next year. But also I've been involved in the governor's working group, which pretty much, to sum it up, it's a group that is making the government work for the veterans. And thanks to Wake County Commissioner Vicki Adamson and her passion for veterans, even though she's not a veteran, she's a family of veterans, and what she had brought me into that. So I was so thankful. Now I'm in the room, and now they can see what resources that Rolesville need, which I'm working on a veteran center. So today I was able to meet the director of Raleigh Veteran Center, and I also spoke with one of the secretaries. But of course, I had the pleasure of getting some mentorship from Congressman Price, as well as Congresswoman Deborah Ross, so they know exactly what we need. So I'm not giving up on that. Also, I want a recruiter office right next door to the Veteran Center. Reason being is that it's already hard for veterans to integrate back into the workforce. So if veterans can come there, we can have maybe a mental health social worker or someone come in. It can be a mentorship program to where next door, I would love to have Navy, because I want to work with Wake Forest. Reason being is that Wake Forest has a recruiting office for Army and Marines. So it will be awesome that we have Navy, we have Coast Guard, and we can have Air Force co-located right next door to the Veteran Center. So I'm working on that. Now, as well as Monday, I had a meeting with the high school principal for Rolesville, and we chat about his interest in hopefully bringing a ROTC program to Rolesville. And you've seen the Navy commanders come to different meetings or around town. He actually saw them because I asked them to come to Rolesville, check us out, see, because our high school has this year 2,400 students. They need that mentorship. They need that. They need someone that wore the uniform, because who doesn't love veterans, right? So they get the opportunity to speak to somebody that has done incredible things for serving our country. Maybe that could be something that they want to do. Mm-hmm. Because let's face it, college is not for everyone. So maybe serving inside the military could be your way. And then as you mature in life, then you can go back to school. And I'm trying to think, see, is there anything else that I had on the agenda? Well, some things that I guess went through was our town hall has a temporary site now for the Veterans Memorial slash Blue Star Memorial, which looks great, by the way. Please go by there and take a look if y'all haven't, as well as Operation Greenlight. Operation Greenlight is an initiative that will actually start in upstate New York and work its way down here. And Vicki Adamson, Commissioner Vic Adamson, she was so pleased to have that opportunity to read the proclamation for Wake County, in which Rolesville was second to read that proclamation, by the way. And right now, streets are light up green from November 7th through the 13th. So, and even my neighbors' houses look great. So honor and thank you for everyone, because that light, shining that light, let every veteran know we have your back. We understand how hard it is, and thank you for your service.
Exactly. Yeah, I talked to Vicki a little bit about that, and this is the first year, and sometimes it just takes the time to get the momentum going year after year. And I don't know if you saw the picture of town hall, but we got town hall, lit up. Looks pretty neat, I think, with the green lights and stuff. I think as we go forth, we have to somehow figure out how to make it part of the community. And it may take a few years to do it. For example, I went to Ace Hardware a few days ago, bought my green light. I didn't have a green light, so I went and bought my green light. And Ace Hardware is really not set up to do that. They don't have very many options, and they don't have a lot of things we can. It's not like Christmas time. If you want to decorate your house at Christmas time, I mean, it's tons of stuff. But if this really catches on and gets more and more, I could see that where you would have ways to really decorate the green lights at this point in time, and maybe somewhere like Ace Hardware will have a display set up where people will walk by and see it, and they say, hey, this is the green light thing, porch light for veterans. So I think that over a period of time we make it grow.
Yes, sir.
It kind of takes the community to pitching in to do that. I do want to circle back to the ROTC thing, Dan.
Yes, sir.
You and myself, we went to the parade this past weekend downtown Raleigh. Great parade, but it looked like it was several, and I didn't count them, but it was several high school ROTCs, in the parade. How do some schools have the program and some do not, and how do you get the program in a particular high school like Rolesville?
Great question. And I did not know that answer myself until I started doing some leg work. And I reached out to the Navy commanders, their recruiting office. And I went by and had a meeting with them. And I told them some of the things that I would love to have to come to Rolesville. And they gave me their link as far as in how to put in for a RTC program. And they first wanted me to make sure that the principal was on board with that. And he is. So I'm hoping that this can actually happen. It may take some time as far as in, well, honestly, I'm going to be on everyone as much as I can. So I know it may not happen this school year, but I'm trying to hopefully happen next school year. So I'm going to work hard on that.
I imagine it takes the involvement of the Wake County School Board. Is that are they part of making that decision too, or is it just up to the principal and the community?
Well, actually, that's going to be a part, because those funds is probably going to come from Wake County to find the recruiters. Not the recruiters, I should say, because it should be one officer for the Navy and one enlisted, and most likely they're senior guys. Some of the RTC programs, you will see them with a major and probably a senior enlisted EA or E9. But I saw on the election that one of the voting was approved as far as in Wake County public schools with different funding. I was like,
Right.
oh, great. I just found resources to be able to pay those two people. So
Right.
I'm going to make sure that Rolesville get what we need, because this is long overdue. I mean, and when I first got here, I did not know that it was Wake Forest / Rolesville High. I did not know that. So I know that Wake Forest has the Army RTC program. So right now, with us being here almost 9 years, I'm like, yes, it is definitely time for us to have that, which we'll be able to hopefully one day have our own Veterans Day parade. Another thing that I would like to probably form is, and I'll get with Eugene offline about that as well, is starting our own Veterans Task Force, because it's going to take a team to make this happen.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I can be a voice for that team, but I'm going to need a team to be able to do some of the things that the logistics and let me be able to campaign for what we need.
Exactly. We got just so much we could talk about, Dan. We'd be here all night. I do want to mention, because actually Eugene brought it up. I do want to mention about you know, houses being available to veterans, and you know, I know I have been working on that, and I know you've got involved with what we were doing in the last couple of months on trying to get our developers, when they come out in our community, to understand that the veterans is a priority of the town, priority of the town board, priority of Dan Austin and the mayor, and get them on board on maybe supplying some a house out of a development for a veterans organization.
Yes, sir. What I advise any developers that's listening right now is definitely you want to partner with organizations like Home for Heroes, as well as Operation Coming Home. Those organizations can assist you. You can also call the Wounded Warrior Project to ask them about certain veterans that could be in need for the OIF, OEF, and Operation New Dawn era. Those things are needed because especially with Operation Coming Home, I got a flyer and an invitation, but I was unable to make it due to another meeting conflict, that they were celebrating a key ceremony for a veteran that was killed in combat. So his family is receiving that home. And I thought that was nice. That was in Fuquay, Verena.
Mm-hmm.
And I was invited out there to come and witness that, but I wasn't able to make it. But I think that is real huge for us here in Rolesville. And I think Eugene said that we have over 800. It's time for us to be able to come together, to work together for our veterans. And Operation Greenlight, sir, I think honestly is just a start, just a beginning.
Exactly. And, you know, you have to make it a community affair. If you're going to prioritize, you know, veterans, veteran needs, veteran awareness, I mean, the list can go on and on. You have to prioritize it. And when people come into town, you know, they want to do businesses here. They want to open up business, as, you know, as Eugene suggested, you know, give discounts and stuff like that. Developers building houses, that, you know, to be part of this community, we want you to be part of the veterans, the veteran support.
Sir, agreed.
Dan, just to kind of close out, I know time is running short. As a veteran, you know, working with Eugene and stuff, I kind of asked him the similar question. You know, I would think there's some people out there in our community that would like to do more to help veterans, to do more, be more active in veteran work and things like that. And I know they could reach out to you. I know they can reach out to Eugene. What would you say to encourage people, you know, if they have a passion or they're developing a passion to work more with veterans, what to do?
Okay, please reach out to my email. Rachel has it displaying right now, because I would love to form a veterans task force. that is one way that you can definitely assist me here in Rolesville. And I would love to have veterans, but if it's not all veterans, it can be veteran spouses, their children, or their children that have served. I need everyone to come together with me and be able to use some of the resources and go to some of the meetings that I cannot attend and help be that secondary voice. Because there's other projects that I definitely want to have happen, especially when we build our new town hall. I would love to have a nice Veterans Memorial over there. So I'm definitely going to need a committee to help form that. So I'm going to need assistance with that. So please reach out to me on my email.
Very good. As a veteran, and maybe not, you can't speak for all veterans, but maybe some that you know, and I know you know a lot of them. Do they feel like our community is open to veterans? In other words, the veterans should feel comfortable living here and enjoy their life here as a lifestyle. That we're welcoming veterans. Do you feel like most veterans get that feeling?
I can speak based upon just my neighborhood. How many veterans? I know how many veterans we have in our neighborhood, and we all kind of stick together. Make sure we send each other a text message, and that's one thing that you will never ever forget is that brotherhood, sisterhood will never go away. No matter what the branch is, we may play around with each other and say our branch is the best, but yes, deep down we all support each other, and no matter what. If that person put on that uniform, he or she can sit down and have a conversation for hours.
Right. One last question, Dan, and we'll get Rachel to come back on. I was noticing in the parade, you had these organizations, like the VFA, Veterans of Foreign Affairs.
VFW.
VFW, yeah, and Veterans of Foreign Wars, right?
Yes, sir.
And maybe American Legion type things and stuff. Are we just not big enough Rolesville yet to have those things? So I think if somebody wanted to be in those organizations, they would have to go to another town to do that. Is that right?
Actually, no, because I was approached about maybe someone saying that we could start one here, that we need like 5 members to actually do it. And that is the reason why I would love for veterans to email me, because if I can build a veteran task force, then I would have more of the resources and more of the needs that our community needs.
Good. So you think it's a matter of time that we would have, like
Yes.
the VFW and those type things?
Matter of time, and a matter of the right resources and the people that's willing to participate to actually have it taken off. So that way that burden doesn't fall on one person.
Got you. Well, I encourage anybody listening, reach out to Dan. You can reach out to Eugene. Just get more involved, especially if you got a passion to do that. Just get more involved in that. And I think as we grow, this need is going to grow. And with the need growing, I hope the volunteerism grow with that. So I see Rachel's back, I tell you, Rachel, hour has gone by fast tonight.
It does, Mayor. It does. And I know Dan, one of the things that he didn't mention, Dan is part of Rotary. And so Rotary does a Flag for Heroes program. And so we were able to see flags. I have one flying out in my front yard, but he was out putting out flags. I think it was yesterday before the rain came, him and Olga. But for those that may be watching and you come around town and you may see them, also, if you were here and you saw for the 4th of July, we had flags flying in the middle of town, right on Main Street. And that was Flags for Heroes. So you could dedicate a flag to a hero. We had a lot of people that dedicated flags to their family members who had served. I even saw, it was so nice. I saw someone walking, one of the citizens of Rolesville, a veteran. They were out doing their walk. And when they got to the flags, they stopped and they saluted. And I tell you, you could tell it meant the world to him to see those. And when I was out there, they stopped and asked questions and was like, this is wonderful. It was always a thank you so much for doing this. And so for those that wonder, I know, Eugene, I said earlier, freedom is not free. And that flag means a lot to a lot of people. And when you fly it and you fly it high, it's something that can never be explained. So I do want to say thank you both once again. Mayor, great show, great questions. Dan and Eugene are great resources for veterans and also for people who are not veterans. If you have questions about the military or questions and you want to know more, they definitely are resources for you. And if you're needing help, there's so many people I've met over the years of just being active in the community that come out to support our veterans and the things and services that they provide. And it's just a matter of making people aware of them. So I do want to say thank you to Dan and to Eugene tonight and to the mayor for actually coming forward and having this so that we can let you know we care about you more than just on Veterans Day in Rolesville. There's a lot that we do for our veterans. So please don't think we give you just that one day. So I do want to say thank you.
Yep. Thank you, Rachel. And you're right. Freedom is not free. And I really, we've been doing this for a while now. Like I said, probably over a year. And this has been a really great show. It's with Dan and Eugene on here spreading this information because really, this is important to a lot of people's lives and families too. Families of veterans and stuff. And these two men. They work very hard and has a lot of passion for what they do, and really appreciate them coming on and sharing the information tonight. What a great service I think they're doing for the community, and certainly did for the community tonight. And I really appreciate them doing that. And Rachel, thank you for hosting too.
Absolutely. And thank you guys so much. Enjoy your day tomorrow. There's a lot that's happening and going on, but definitely enjoy your day on tomorrow.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you. Thank you, Eugene. Appreciate you.
Take care. Have a great evening.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, that was a great